Hey everybody, Pat Blocker here with the Peaceful Pause Method. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to talk about how to respond when your dog is tuning you out. Before we do that, I would appreciate it if you would click the like and subscribe button so that we can stay in touch. You won't want to miss out on any of these exciting episodes. So how do we respond when our dog is tuning us out? We've all been there. We're calling our dog, and they just seem like they're on a different planet. And, everything is more interesting than we are. So they're not really doing this on purpose. They are very much living in the moment, and there is something that's just more exciting than you are at that time. So how do we want to respond? We want to respond with patience and even a sense of humor. It's very easy to get frustrated when you're calling your dog and they are ignoring you, so to speak. We want to be careful not to get frustrated. I have sadly seen many times when someone is calling their dog isn't listening, the person is getting frustrated, maybe a little angry, and if you think about it, if I were saying to you, hey, get over here right now, you're not going to be that excited about coming over to see me. It's also very sad when if the dog does come, and then people might tend to scold them for not coming. But remember, dogs live very much in the present, so you will be scolding them for doing what you asked them to do, which is to come to you. So in the future, they might be even more hesitant to do so. But what do we want to do? We're calling the dog. They seem to be ignoring us. So first of all, we just want to take a deep breath and take a step back and first things first, it's tempting to call louder and repeat yourself. And as I said, get a little frustrated. But as I said, we want to be careful about the tone of our voice. We want to have good, positive energy. And so if we take a pause, take a deep breath, if it's not an emergency situation, obviously, then let's just take some time to reset. And, because our voice, the sound of our voice and our body language are very important in getting our dog to re-engage with us. So we want that to be a positive experience. I said to do this if it's not an emergency. I have taught many clients, most clients, because recall is an extremely important behavior. And we want to make sure that we can teach them an emergency recall. So my regular recall, which is what we're talking about here today, means come over here in a reasonable amount of time. Emergency recall means right here, right now. And we use this if they're about to get into trouble, if they're in danger, and so on. So back to the regular recall. The first thing we're going to do is take a breath and reset. And then the next thing we want to do is to check the environment, because I'd like you to imagine trying to listen to a quiet conversation at a rock concert. I mean, it's just not possible. And that's maybe how our dogs feel, because they're they're maybe on a really interesting scent. There might be a squirrel chattering at them. They might be picking up some really interesting sounds. So we want to just be sure to check the environment, make sure it's not too distracting. And especially if you are just training the recall, you want to be really sure that you're doing it in an environment where you can be successful. You wouldn't want to try to train your dog on a recall uh, first thing at the dog park, because that's just uh, way too distracting for your dog. There is such a thing that we call dog park induced deafness. In other words, your dog really isn't going to hear you if they're having fun. Think about the same thing about your child on the playground. So another thing that we can do is just really make yourself more interesting and more fun to follow. So you can start doing something silly, you can start dancing around, you can clap to get their attention, and then perhaps run the other direction. Uh, it, I had one time a situation where my dog Helen Wheels just went out the front door that had been inadvertently left open because there was some work being done in the house. And I immediately went out on the front walk and I fell down, and I was pretended to cry or and she was like, huh? And she came right over. And my husband had seen me do that, and he goes, well, that's a great trick. So she did. She came to me. I managed to get a hold of her and keep her there and get her back in the house. We also want to think about practicing attention as its own skill. We really often expect our dogs to pay attention to us just because we ask them to. But it's like any other skill, we really need to practice it. So it's the first step actually in teaching a recall. And it's the first step when you bring home your new puppy, is to teach them their name. So you want to spend some time with your dog, just giving them, asking them for their attention, and then you can treat them. You can give them lots of pets and hugs if they like hugs. A lot of dogs don't. So anyway, we want to really stay patient. We want to stay kind. We want to remember that tuning you out is really often a sign of distraction, or they might be confused, or even tiredness. They're really tired. They say, oh gosh, I have to get up. But it's not about defiance. If you want to approach these moments with the same understanding and patience that you would offer a friend who just got lost in thought. So it isn't about perfection, it's about connection. There's one other thing I want to mention with a recall. I had talked about giving your dog a treat when they come to you, or making yourself more interesting. You kind of want to sweeten the deal. You want to be very careful in not inadvertently training your dog to wait for you to show them a treat before they come. Also, if you, a lot of times people will say, well, my dog doesn't come in the house when I call him. And I said, well, when do you normally call them? Well, usually in the morning when I have to leave for work. And I say, well, you have taught your dog that coming in the house means the fun is over and means that you're going to leave. So you want to be able to call your dog in the house and maybe give them a treat and then let them go back out and do what they were doing. So we don't want to set ourselves up for failure, and also you don't want to sweeten the deal, so to speak, after you've called your dog. So if you call your dog and they don't come and you've offered them a treat, well, okay, let me go get a better treat. You've just inadvertently taught your dog to hold out for the good stuff. So anyway, that's it for today. If you would like to schedule private training, a virtual behavior consultation, you can do that on my website, which is www.patblocker.com. You can email me at info@patblocker.com. If you would like to book a reading for your dog or for any species of your companion animal, you can also find that on my website, which is www.patblocker.com and info@patblocker.com. So before I go, I'd like to ask you to click on the like and subscribe so that we can stay in touch, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.